First Liberty National Bank.
Hello, this is JD
and Keri.
And you're listening to Our 2 Cents. Today we're going to talk about fraud.
We also have a special guest today. His name is Mr. Jonathan Galeano. He is our Chief Operating Officer here at First Liberty National Bank. And he's going to give us some hints and tips to be able to protect ourselves from fraud.
All right, welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Jonathan. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at the bank.
So, Jonathan, we just wanted to sit down and talk with you a little bit about fraud.
Could you tell us some information about some best practices?
Well, fraudsters are always dependent on you not reviewing your statements and not knowing what's going on in your account. So I would recommend first to just be aware of your finances. Use your FLNB mobile banking app, and if you don't, make sure to review your statements. Of course, the mobile app or the online banking portal is the fastest and quickest way to check the status of your account. Be cognizant of the money that's spent. Be cognizant of what goes in and out, and if you see any type of micro deposits, meaning deposits under $1, coming in and out, and it's not something that you recognize, please be sure to flag that. A lot of times the fraudsters will test the waters by doing the micro deposits, and if those don't get noticed, then they'll send larger amounts through. So always be cognizant of the activity in your checking account. On the credit side, be sure to either have a credit monitoring service and make sure to monitor your credit and monitor what happens in your account.
That's actually really scary when I think about it. I had that same thing happen to me. It was a couple months back, and I was getting charges in Louisiana from some washateria place, and they were doing 50 cent, $1.25, $1.75, and I probably had 30 of those charges before I realized that doesn't belong to my credit card. I contacted my card provider, and they told me that might have been a scheme that they were potentially going to do in the end, is that if I didn't notice those, maybe they would have started charging more. That's a great tip, thank you.
I mean, fraud can happen to anyone. It happened to me too. I went to a large coffee chain and ordered my $5 macchiato, and by the time I made it back to work, which was quite literally across the interstate, I had over $140 worth of gift card charges on my account. And I'm one of those people who always check my bank account. I'm so terrified of fraud happening, so I'm constantly looking at it. And so by the time I got to the office and saw that there was $140 missing that I didn't spend, I called the bank and was able to dispute the charges, and the bank took care of it.
And I've also experienced that same fraud scam. Also probably the same coffee chain, and also experienced the gift card charges. So always be cognizant of activity in your account. Other things to consider is the chip on your card is about the safest way you can do a transaction. The chip is practically hard to duplicate, and most fraudsters do not have the capability to duplicate the chip. And in our experience at the bank, no fraudster at this point has been able to duplicate the chip. However, fraudsters are able to duplicate the magnetic strip on the card, so always be cognizant at locations and terminals where you do not use the chip. Right now, many gas stations are not EMV ready, which is what the technical name for the chip is. So be cognizant when you go and pump gas, especially at the pump. Be sure to check the card reader, make sure it's tug on it a little bit. If it comes off, go to another gas station. Typically the fraudsters will mount a device that appears to be part of the card reader, or have a camera hidden somewhere to get your PIN number and get your card information off the magnetic strip. Be cognizant of using any type of third-party ATMs, typically things in convenience stores, things in public areas, and things of that nature. Big banks or banks in general, are typically reviewing their machines and usually have an audit. Sometimes the convenience stores or the other areas don't have the security around the machines, as they're either not owned by them or they're rented from a third party. So just be cognizant of where you insert your card, because that there is a level of risk depending on where you use your card. If you're ever in doubt, try to use other methods such as the EMV chip, or try to use Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or some sort of a contactless method to pay, because those are inherently more secure and does not expose your card number or the magnetic strip on your card.
Those are some really good tips. Keri, have you heard of RFID blocking technology?
Yeah, that's the stuff you can get like in wallets and purses and different things like that.
Exactly. So I know that fraudsters can try and use skimmers try and grab your card info as they walk by. Maybe if you have a wallet, leather wallet that doesn't have that kind of technology, or there's some metal wallets out there that have that technology. That's just one more way to prevent people from getting your information and using it in a way that you wouldn't want them to.
And Jonathan, I have a question for you. So whenever I pump gas, I typically always do credit and enter my zip code. I don't hardly ever, actually, anytime I use my card in public, I usually do credit and don't enter my PIN number. Is that a safer way to make transactions if I enter the zip code rather than my personal PIN number that would only be used at like ATMs or different things like that?
Well, the answer to that is it depends. It's really a twofold answer. The reality is that yes, the credit type of transaction will not expose your PIN number. However, there is a significant amount of fraud because of that, and fraudsters will use a skimmer in a given area and assume that the customers or the cardholders are located in that area, so they'll use that zip code when they conduct fraudulent transactions. Because of that, many financial institutions, and ours to some degree in some locations, will limit your ability to do a credit transaction at the pump and require a PIN-based transaction to pay at the pump. And some institutions are completely eliminating pay at the pump because of the inherent security risk that is available today. In the future, all pumps will be required to be EMV enabled. Right now, we're in a gray area where the magnetic stripe is perfectly acceptable. And so there is an elevated risk to use your card at the pump. So that's something to be wary of.
Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us on Our 2 Cents. I know that we took some nice time out of your day, but we really appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
All right, you guys, have a great day. Please be sure to like, share, and follow.
First Liberty National Bank.